Hi, I'm Jeff Slavens with Slavens Racing, and this video is about pilot circuit on two-stroke carburetors. Today's subject is a 2010 KTM 300, but this applies to all two-stroke carburetors. So, what is the pilot circuit? On two-stroke carburetors, there's usually a brass air screw on the left side of the carburetor. Sometimes it can be on the right. It's usually on the left. And that brass air screw is connected to the pilot jet. This is what a pilot jet looks like, and it comes up to the bottom of the carburetor. If you remove this float bowl here, float bowl drain plug, there's you'll see the hex-headed main jet, and right next to it in a cavity is the pilot jet. You remove that with a flathead screwdriver. That connects directly to this hole back here, and this screw opens and closes that hole. This is called the pilot air screw. This is the pilot jet. As if you have an idle issue, this is the idle screw, which controls the location of the slide. So how far up or down the slide is. So if your idle's too high or too fast or too slow, well, then you would adjust this accordingly. And you should have that adjusted to where the idle is fairly slow for this test. So from there, what does the pilot circuit do? It controls the lower RPMs of the bike from about idle to just a little ways above idle, we'll say eighth throttle. From there, the slide covers the next little section, then the needle. The needle covers about 3/4 of the power band, then the main jet covers 3/4 to wide open throttle. This just covers low RPM, and the reason I'm covering this today is because every year in the fall, when the temperatures drop, I get a lot of emails and phone calls of people complaining that their bike is bogging at low RPM. And the pilot circuit is the problem. When the weather gets cool, the air gets denser, and that makes the jetting leaner. So at that point, you have to compensate for that. So, how would you know if you have a problem with that? First, you have to warm up your bike. So, get on your helmet, your gloves, your boots, your goggles, and run it up and down in your riding area on a dirt road or whatever, and get the bike warmed up. I do not recommend starting a two-stroke up and letting it idle to warm it up. That just loads up the power valve, the pipe, and the muffler full of goo. So it's best to get on all your gear, start it up, take off as you're accelerating a little in first or second gear, reach down and shut the choke off, and then continue on. And ride it easily at first until it warms up some. Then you need to run it through the gears and rev it out and blow it out real well before you do this test. Once you've done that, come back, park it, put it into neutral, let it idle, then grab a handful of throttle as quick as you can. If it hesitates or bogs, then you have an issue. So now I'm going to start up the bike, scare the heck out of the cat here. This bike has been sitting quite a bit because it's wintertime in Colorado and I haven't been riding very much, so it might start a little hard because the battery's low, but I'm going to start it up and let you know what it sounds like when they're lean. I've backed out the air screw on this bike for this test. That's what they sound like when they're too lean. A lean condition on the pilot jet can blow up an engine just as easily as a lean main jet or a lean needle position. It would quite often cause a problem when you're going down a long downhill, or if you've been running down a straightaway and then you chop the throttle. Right when you chop the throttle, you'll go instantly onto the pilot circuit, and at that time it's easy to lock up the motor. So if you've got a lean condition on the pilot circuit, you need to attend to it immediately. You can turn that pilot air screw in all the way if necessary. Typical settings are from about three quarters from 3/4 of a turn out to about 2.5 turns out. If it's in that range, that's fine. If it's beyond that range, then you need to go to, if you have to run it a long ways in, say less than 3/4 of a turn, then you would need to go to a bigger pilot jet. If you need to run it farther than 2.5 turns out, then you need to go to a smaller pilot jet. Those are all the clues and methods for testing the pilot circuitry. Thank you.